So in this video, we will proceed with topic 8, limits and continuity. So we focus on first subtopic first, 8.1, limits. So basically, limits examine the behavior of a function as the value x gets closer to but do not take on a certain value of a. If the function of fx approaches the number L as x approaches a, then the limit of our function is written as limit x arrow with a, that one we call as approaches. Saya highlight kat sini. So lim, that one we call as limit. Ada x arrow a, that one we call as x approaches a. And then we have the function of x and L as our answer. That's how we define it. Okay, now we straight away focus on the properties of limit. Altogether, we have 7 properties. So the first property state that limit of a constant function. So kalau kita ada constant, then the constant itself will be our limit. For example, if we have limit of x approaches 2 of 5, then our final answer will be 5 itself. Okay, moving on to the second property, limit of any function. So if we have limit of x as x approaches a, then directly just substitute the limit into the function and that will be our answer. For example, if we have limit of x as x approaches 2, directly substitute 2 into the function. So if we substitute x as 2, then our final answer will be 2. Moving on, third properties of a scalar multiplication. So if we have a scalar multiply with any function in our limit function, we can factorize outside our constant. For example, if we have limit of x approaches a 7 times fx, 7 basically is a constant here. So you can factorize 7 outside of our limit function. Bawa je 7 tu keluar. So dia boleh 7 times with our limit function. Okay. Moving on, properties number 4 about raising power of any function. So basically, if we have any power for any function, we can bring the power outside of our limit function. Sama konsep macam scalar multiplication tadi. So kalau kita ada kuasa, kuasa tu kita boleh bawa keluar kepada limit function. Tak kisahlah kuasa tu pecahan, kuasa tu negatif ataupun kuasa tu positif. It's valid for any power. Okay. And then moving on, number 5, we have limit for addition and subtraction of 2 different functions. So if we have fx plus minus gx, then we can open up this bracket as limit of fx plus minus limit of gx. For example, here dia buat kat situ limit of 3x plus minus zx. So we can open this up as limit of 3x plus or minus limit of zx. Kita boleh buka satu-satu. Okay, moving on, number 6 is about product of 2 different functions. Sama je macam konsep addition and subtraction just now. Kalau it's multiplication of 2 different functions, then we can separate one by one using product of 2 different functions for each function. And then last one about quotient, sama juga, it's about division of 2 different functions, then we can separate the limit one by one. Okay, nak lebih clear, kita terus jawab example. So example 1 is about properties of limit. So here, given that limit of fx as x approaches a is negative 1. That's the first info. And then second info, limit of gx as x approaches a is 2. Now we have to evaluate each of the following. Okay, so we start with the first one. We have limit of fx minus 3gx. So by using properties of addition or subtraction just now, we can open this up and it will be limit of x approaches a fx minus limit of x approaches a 3gx. And as before, if we have a constant boleh bawa keluar daripada limit function. So simplify this up. Now we have limit, kat depan saya tak tukar, minus 3 times with limit x approaches a gx. Okay, now we can substitute one by one based on the info of our question. So limit of fx is basically negative 1 minus 3 limit of gx based on the info is basically 2. So final answer here would be negative 7. Okay, we try once again. Second one, B. We have limit of x approaches a to fx divided by gx. So now using the quotient properties, we can split this up and this will be, we have extra constant 2 here. 2 tu pun saya bawa keluar siap-siap. So we have 2 times limit of x approaches a fx divided by limit of x approaches a gx. And now once again we can substitute based on the info. So 2 times negative 1 divided by 2. So final answer here negative 1. Moving on. For question C, we have limit of fx times gx. So by using product properties, we can split this up and this will be limit of x approaches a fx times with limit of x approaches a gx. Now we substitute one by one. So fx will be negative 1, gx will be 2. So final answer here negative 2. Okay, settled. Moving on, next one. For question D, we have limit x approaches a of fx plus gx the whole thing squared. So by using the raising power properties, the whole squared kita boleh bawa keluar. Maksudnya kita masukkan limit kat dalam bracket. So this would be limit of x approaches a fx plus limit of x approaches a gx. Saya limitkan satu-satu. And then the whole thing will be squared. So substitute one by one once again. So we have negative 1 plus 2. The whole thing squared. So final answer here 1. And then last one, we have limit of x approaches a cube root of gx divided by fx. And once again, we can use raising power properties here. Cube root kita bring outside of limit function. So now we will get cube root of limit of x approaches a gx divided by limit of x approaches a fx. And now we can substitute one by one. So we have cube root of 2 divided by negative 1. So final answer, cube root of negative 2. Okay, settle about properties of limit.